On today's episode, we are going to be making Mocha Pot Mocha hot chocolate mocha pot coffee combination mix from scratch. 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 2 cups of milk. Oh, and of course we need our mocha pot coffee. If you don't have a mocha pot, consider getting one. I'll leave links. Otherwise, use normal coffee or a couple of shots of espresso. We're going to start by getting a saucepan on the stove, set to about a medium heat, and then we're going to put our milk in it. We're going to let this warm up. Now, if you have it on a lower temperature, 5-10 minutes, it'll kind of heat up. If you're impatient, you can turn up the heat a bit. Just try not to boil your milk or cook your milk, because that's not really what we want to go for. But you can definitely expedite the process, but going a bit cooler on your temperature, I think, can have a little bit better of a result. Okay, we'll give that an occasional stir. Then set up our mocha pot. Now we want to fill it with water up to the boiling release valve. And then we can add the strainer funnel thing and then start packing in our coffee. Now the trick to getting the mocha pot to make good coffee is having your pack correct and your temperature correct. If your pack is too loose, the water just goes right through it and doesn't get enough flavor. You pack it too tight and then it kind of burns the coffee as it goes through. If you have it too hot, it can't push through the coffee and then it will just blow the release valve. If you don't pack it enough, or have it too cool, then it just kind of cooks your coffee. So there's kind of a lot that can go wrong with these things. Make sure you wipe around the edges and screw on the top tight so you get a good seal. Okay, we'll put our pot on the stove there. We'll set our temperature to probably about number 7 on mine, so that's like a medium high. And that usually works out pretty good for the pot of this size, which is 6 units. And I have one that's bigger, and it's very finicky to get the temperature right, to get the coffee to brew through it without blowing out the pressure release valve. And it's just a matter of having the coffee or the water heat up at the right temperature that it can trickle through without building up so much pressure that it blows out the valve. Because the second it blows out the valve, you'll lose all the pressure, and then it takes longer for it to get up to the proper pressure required to push the coffee through the coffee maker, essentially ruining the batch, or you'll only have a small amount of coffee to get through and have a large amount of wasted yield. And by that time too, the stovetop will start cooking your coffee beans, and then it will be incredibly bitter and taste terrible. Although it can be an acquired taste, having that rustic, smoky, burnt tasting coffee. So the footage of the espresso there was heavily accelerated. So by this time, the espresso is almost done and the milk is thoroughly heated. So now we're going to add our cocoa powder to the milk, as well as our sugar. And we don't want to forget our cinnamon. So we'll add all that in, stir it a couple times, and then our espresso should be ready. So now we'll pull that off the stove and we'll add that into our mixture. And then of course we'll give it a bit of a stir. Now we're just going to let this cook for a few minutes, let everything all be incorporated. Mocha pots can be a little bit finicky, especially if you don't use them all the time. So if there's not enough coffee in your mix, just add a standard coffee to it, or a shot of espresso if you have an espresso maker, to increase the coffee quantity if it's not up to your taste. Taste it every now and then, make sure it tastes the way you want it before you take it off the stove. And then I'm going to be straining mine, so I got a large measuring cup here with a strainer over it, and I'm just going to pour the whole mixture through it. Something you can do is if you put hot water in your measuring cup first, or put water in it then in the microwave for a little bit of time, you can heat up your container. That way you don't cool off the mix when you pour it through your strainer. Now here we go, just setting it on my little platter thing, and I'm just going to add a little bit of homemade whipped cream to this, and then sift on a little bit of cocoa powder on the top, and we'll call that done. And if you want, you can even add a little bit of Bailey's or some 40 Creek to this, or some type of chocolate liqueur, and you can take it to the next level. Either way, this is pretty darn good, and I definitely recommend trying this one. Let me know in the comments below how you make your hot chocolate. And if you like this video, push the like button, and please subscribe if you want to see more of this. And until next time, stay awesome.